Hi everyone! In this tutorial, you'll learn how to use Origin to plot and customize graphs step by step. In this video, I am using OriginPro 2024. First, let's open the OriginPro software. This is the main interface of OriginPro. You can see a workbook window named Book 1. This is the section where we can key in or paste our data. By default, there are two columns, A, X, and B, Y. The X column represents the X-axis of the graph, while the Y column represents the Y-axis of the graph. If you have more data, you can insert a new column. Simply right-click on a specific column and select Insert. The same method can be used for rows. If you want to insert a row, right-click and select Insert Row. Now let's work with some sample data. In this example, I am using data that compares different optimization algorithms based on the number of iterations. The x-axis represents the iteration number, while the y-axis represents the performance value of each algorithm. Before plotting in OriginPro, I will first show the graph in Excel. Excel is useful for quickly checking the data. Now let's copy the iteration column and the ABC algorithm column from Excel. Select the related columns in Excel and press Ctrl+C to copy. Then, go back to the OriginPro worksheet, select one cell, and press Ctrl+V to paste the data. You can see that the column labels have been pasted into the long name row, while the numerical data are pasted into the worksheet below. Now let's start plotting the data. At the bottom left corner, you can see the line plus symbol icon. Click on it, and OriginPro will create a graph with both a line and data point symbols. You can also try other graph types. For example, if you select the line icon, the graph will show only lines without symbols. If you select Scatter, the graph will show only data point symbols without connecting lines. You can choose the graph type based on your own preference. Next, let's add more data. I will copy the data for the PSO algorithm and the JS algorithm from Excel and paste them into OriginPro. Now, we have the iteration column as the x-axis and ABC, JS, and PSO as the y-axis data. Select all the data, then click the line plus symbol icon again to create the graph. Now, we have successfully plotted the graph. Next, let's modify and beautify the graph. For this graph, you may notice that the data cannot be seen clearly on the y-axis. This is due to the y-axis scaling. To modify the axis, double-click on the y-axis or x-axis. A pop-up window will appear. In this window, you can see several settings such as Show, Scale, Tick Labels, Title, Grids, and Line and Ticks. Let's start with the Tick Labels section. Here, we can change the display format. For example, we can display the y-axis values in scientific notation. You can also change the display units, such as 10 to the power of 3. In this example, I prefer to set the display unit position to begin from axis end. Next, let's go to the Scale section. Since the data are difficult to see clearly, we can change the y-axis scale to log 10. After applying this setting, the data can be seen more clearly. However, based on the Excel data, the minimum value can reach around 3.05 E40. So, I will adjust the minimum value of the y-axis to around 2 E40. After applying the setting, the final part of the graph becomes clearer. The axis range depends on your data and how you want to present your graph. You can also change the major tick increment. For example, if you want the major tick to increase by 5, You can adjust it in the scale setting. Now let's modify the x-axis. Click the horizontal axis icon to change the x-axis settings. Since our iteration data start from 1 and go up to 1000, we can change the starting value from -100 to 0. Similar to the y-axis, you can also change the scale type, tick marks, and other axis settings. Next, let's add grid lines. Go to the Grid section and tick Show. You can choose to display major grid lines, minor grid lines, or both, depending on your preference. Now let's modify the axis lines and ticks. Go to the Line and Ticks section. Here, you can change the color and style of the axis lines. For example, if you want to add a border at the top of the graph, select Top, tick Show Line and Ticks, and click Apply. Now, a top border appears on the graph. You can also change the tick style. If you do not want to show major ticks or minor ticks, you can select None. Next, let's move the legend to a suitable position. Click on the legend and drag it to the location you prefer. Now, let's change the axis labels. Simply double-click the label and rename it based on your graph. You can also move the label if the position is not suitable. The same method can be used for the x-axis label. Another method is to double-click the axis line. When the pop-up window appears, select the Title section. Choose Bottom to edit the x-axis title. In the Text section, type the label that you want to show. For example, I can name the x-axis as Iteration. You can also change the label color. For example, I will change it to purple. Besides that, you can change the font style. In this example, I will use Arial Black. Now let's repeat the same process for the y-axis. Click the left axis title setting to edit the y-axis label. Here, you can change the y-axis title, font, color, and other text settings. Next, let's add a graph title so viewers can clearly understand what the graph is about. Go to the top title setting. Tick Show to display the title. In the text section, type the title of the graph. For example, I will use Comparison of Optimization Algorithms. You can also change the font, size, and style of the title based on your preference. Now let's edit the style of the lines and symbols. Click on one of the lines or symbols in the graph. Then, go to the Line menu. Here, you can select the line color. If you choose by plots, each line can have a different color based on the selected color palette. If you choose single, all lines will have the same color. You can choose the color style that you prefer. Besides that, we can also change the legend sequence. Currently, the legend sequence is ABC, JS, and PSO. If you want to rearrange it, go to the Object Manager at the top right side. Select the item that you want to move. For example, select JS, then left-click and drag it to a new position. You can do the same for PSO and ABC until the legend sequence is arranged the way you want. You can also make the legend bigger by clicking on it and changing the font size. Then, move it to a suitable position on the graph. Now, the graph has been successfully created and customized. Finally, let's export the graph as an image. Right-click on the graph window title bar and select Export Graph to Image. For the image type, you can choose formats such as JPEG, PNG, or TIFF. In this example, I choose TIFF because it provides better image quality, especially when the image is enlarged. Next, choose the file location where you want to save the image. Then, type your preferred file name. After that, click OK. Now, the graph image has been saved in the selected folder. That's all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helps you successfully plot and customize a graph using OriginPro. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more information. See you in the next video.